Hey, what's up, Twisters? This is Mr. Janik, and I'm going to share with you guys my all-time favorite Dr. Seuss book, and that is, Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the Desert of Dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think you are bad, when you feel sour or blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I always do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, oh, ever so much more, oh, much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bunglebung Bridge that they're building across Boomer Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it then are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful a whole heaping lot for the places and people. You're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gazette and got caught in the traffic on Zate, Highway 8. Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in Gazare with your bathroom up there and your bedroom up down there. Oh, suppose, just suppose, you were poor Herbie Hart who has taken his Thromdimbulater apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the gore fits in the scrux or the snucks or the snore. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky. You're not Herbie Hart, who has taken his Thromdimbulater apart. Think they work you too hard? Oh, think of poor Allie Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick-growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in that hay is the piffless pay of 2 duklas a day, and Allie can't live on such piffless pay. So, he has to paint flagpoles on Sunday in Goose. Oh, how lucky you don't live in his shoes. And there's poor Mr. Bix. Every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix has his borfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right. But his borfin just seems to go schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unschlump it, and then the night air comes back and it schlumps once again. So don't feel blue, don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a borfin that schlumps. And while we're at it, consider the schlotz, the crumplehorn, web-footed, green-bearded schlotz, whose tail is entangled in unsolvable knots. If he isn't much worse off than you, I'd eat my umbrella. That's just what I'd do. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is a sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a fammel, as a faddle. And boy, if your old whammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, Ducky, you're gone like a goose. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-daughter, he has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in the I&T factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work out. Out west near Hotch Hotch, there's a Hotch Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to watch, to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder, not much. So then somebody said, our old bee-watching man just isn't bee-watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hotch Hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee-watcher watcher. Well, the bee-watcher watched the bee-watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hotch Hotcher had to come in as a watcher. And today, all the Hotch-Hotchers who lived in Hotch-Hotch are watching on watching the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a Hotch-Watcher. You're lucky, you see. And how fortunately you're not Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. And think of the poor puffing Pugelhorn players who have to parade down the Pugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Puboken. It's awful how often their pugels get broken. And oh, just suppose your poor Harry Haddo, try as he will, he can't make his shadow. He thinks that perhaps something is wrong with his giz, and to think that, by golly, there probably is. And the brothers Bazoo, oh, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, Ducky, some people are muchly, oh, ever so muchly more unlucky than you. And suppose that you lived in the forest in France, where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous plants-eating pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy, and you ought to be shouting, "How lucky am I?" And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish you're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Bronk. Bronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky you're not a left sock left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Thank goodness for all of the things that you're not. Thank goodness you aren't something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place like a rusty tin hanger hanging in space. That's why I say, Ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so much more unlucky than you. Well, all right, Twisters, that was my favorite Dr. Seuss book. Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? And your trivia question for today is, who is it that can't make a shadow? Make sure that you get your name, your teacher's name, and your guess written on a piece of paper, and to the office by 3, and good luck.